Hello, welcome back to Blend Sushi Live Nodding. In this episode, I want to share some kind of experiment I'm doing. Basically, I'm curious what happens if we are plugging in something like cylinder into evaluate image vertices. Yeah, so here I'm basically using this checker pattern and then just plugging it, and then this is what I get. This is actually kind of similar to if you are using a displace modifier and then applying it into a mesh. So let's actually get started from scratch. I'll switch to compositing, and then I'll need to have the checker pattern, and it's gonna be spread chalk add-on evaluate image. So evaluate image, of course, is using a real image texture. So there is an advantage of having to create the procedural texture. This one is just an image, but an image tend to be you can repeat it and you can use any image. So there's an advantage on that. If we are let's try. I'll show you. So plane, cylinder, and sphere should they are kind of similar because they are obviously parametric. So they have certain pattern to create an objects, and I like to use this polyline viewer in this case with evaluate image. If I just plug this into polyline viewer, this is what we're gonna get. Gonna delete everything. So that's polyline viewer. If I turn on the close, it's gonna connect that end part. So that's this is what I will be using today. Evaluate. You can, but you don't need to use polyline viewer, but the result is more interesting anyway. So if I plug this into the vertices first UV of evaluate image, so I should get some kind of output. And let's see, for the output I will just use the vector math, and this is going to be an add. So this is the original vertices, and the output, for the output I will be using maybe the RGB or one of these to push the vertices. Okay, so that's what we are getting. Not very interesting yet. I'm increasing the number now, and we should get much more detail. But it's still not very obvious. So I perhaps need to maybe scale something. Scale this guy or something. Vector math. Or actually just scale. And multiply. So now it's starting to get somewhere. I'm gonna increase this number. Maybe I'll try to flatten the cylinder first and then increase this. So now it's starting to get a little bit more interesting. Increase the subdivision. Now maybe we started to be able to see the checker pattern and what it's doing on our parametric cylinder. Let me flatten our cylinder. Make this like very small value, this one 10, and vertices, increase the vertices, height, okay, the height 0. So now it's flat, but there is this obviously checker pattern running through our cylinder. You might have seen this kind of pattern when doing like a procedural when using procedural checker on objects using cycles. So that's kind of similar. Okay, let's see. I think this actually is looking pretty good. I like this setup at the moment. Might use this for the wallpaper. Let's see what happens if we are starting to play around with the U and V domain. Obviously, it's repeating over our cylinder. We can replace this anytime with our with another objects. But let's get back to this. Instead of flat cylinder, let's increase the number. Okay, so this is actually something that probably can be printed. So of course, you probably ask, why don't you use something like vector noise or turbulence, right? It's gonna be similar anyway. Let's try that. Yeah, so that's a kind of also interesting in a way. Or just plug this into the noise. So that's another possibilities. But if it's gonna be displacing it, maybe we can also use vector noise. Actually, get the normal first, calculate the normal of the vertices. So vertices and polygon. So we have the normal of each point, and we can use the points with a vector. If we just plug this into this guy, it's gonna be, that's not what we want. We want this guy being pushed by the normal, and maybe use vector math. And this should be multiplied by scalar, and the scalar value should be this guy. So this one is probably pushing it through the normal. Ideally, I think it's would be nice to have this on the surface as a UV. Of course, in that case, you probably will be using sample UV color. They are kind of similar, but this one is doing it more procedurally, I guess. Can't really see what's happening. So now it's pushing it on the normal. I think I'm doing this correctly. So vertex normal, I think that's correct. Let's try, actually, there's another calculate normal. So vertices, edges, polygon. Oh, we don't need the cap here. And vertex normal, I think they are the same. Yeah, it's the same. Let's play with the radius. Yeah, this is actually more interesting if you start to look into the tiling. There's actually mirror. There's a mirror tiling. It doesn't seem to be doing anything. Okay, we can shift the value. That's an alternate. That's probably starting to get a little bit more interesting, because you can use any kind of texture. So let's see if I have interesting texture to use. Oh, pixel not so interesting. Maybe this face. See, you start to get pattern. It's unusual. It's like a face. There's like a face printed. Imagine if you have 3D printer and print this out. It's pretty funky. Let's say you want to push this a little bit stronger, so you maybe just multiply it here. That's probably not bad. That's interesting too, actually. And turn on B-spline, you get smoother line. Right, and then the whole thing is actually a single line. So yeah, there's a lot of things you can do with this. Let's see if I can find another image. Okay, Mona Lisa. Mona Lisa. And update it. So Mona Lisa, it's not just the face. Maybe I just get a face of Mona Lisa. And just actually under screenshot. There you go, that's a Mona Lisa's face. I think the way it tiles and the way it mirrors is very, very interesting with this node. So normally you don't really get that. So yeah, that's I guess that's pretty much it. That's a interesting experiment with this evaluate image and cylinder. That's because of the fact that this cylinder can be turned into a polyline, I guess. If you are like just using a viewer draw and simply output the vertices and polygon. See, you look at it and okay, it's just like a displace modifier. But still, it's still something because it's doing the tiling with the nodes. Normally, you go to displace modifier, assign a texture, and then you have all this. But now we are doing it with the nodes, and then you can actually do a little bit more. Maybe yeah, like this tiling, mirror of tiling, repeat. That's normally inside this. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. Hopefully you find this useful. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.